Good morning, everyone. This is BremSter, and today I'm coming to you with a puzzle called Limited Killers by Jolly Rogers. And this is a puzzle that is using a variant of killer which is based on a constraint which has been quite popular recently. The most famous puzzle that uses it is Rising Circles by Dorlier. And it's not actually a puzzle type that I've solved before, but this one dropped into my queue and I realized it was going to be something that I could use to explore it. You may have seen the puzzles where there are circles in the grid and digits that are placed in circles must have that number of that digit placed in those circles throughout the entire grid. This is something similar, so I'm looking forward to exploring it. So at the moment, as of this video coming out, we are now into November. So the submissions for the Modular Dutch Whispers pack are over. As of me recording this, it is still a few days before then, so I don't have any information as to how that's all gone, but hopefully I will for you in a few days. Let's look at Limited Killers by Jolly Rogers. So the way this works, first of all, normal Sudoku rules apply. So in every box, in every row, and in every column, the digits 1 to 9 will be placed without repetition. Digits in cages must sum to the number in the top left corner of the cage if given. All good. Each digit in a cage indicates exactly how many times that digit appears across all cages. So the example given is if there is a 3 in a cage, so if there was a 3 here, that would mean that across all of the cages, we would only ever have 3 threes. So we might have a 3 here and a 3 here, and that would be all the 3s we could put in any cages. We could never put another 3 in a cage. Interesting. Digits joined by a black dot must have a ratio of 1 to 2. One must be double the other. Digits joined by a white dot must be consecutive. Not all possible dots are given. So what that is telling us is there must be something in a 1 to 2 relationship outside of these given black dots, and there must be something with a that is consecutive outside the white dots. I'm going to restart the puzzle to restart my timer. Let's give this a shot. Now, the interesting thing about this is going to be each digit that appears in a cage indicates how many times, I'm looking at the rules, indicates how many times that digit appears across all cages, because we can figure that one out importantly by looking how many cells are in cages, because, and I don't have a good way of explaining this logic really, but we could try and do some killer logic, I suppose, but I don't think that's where we're supposed to start, because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. We have 36 cages, or 36 cells in cages. Now, the important thing is, if we were to put a 1 into a cage, we could only ever then have 1 1. If we were to put a 2 into the cages, we could have 2 2s. If we were to put 3 into the cages, we could have 3 3s. So what we're working towards here is having 1 1, 2 2s, 3 3s, 4 4s, 5 5s, 6 6s, and we're adding those numbers together. And anyone who's done a lot of Sudoku would know that if you add all of the digits from 1 to 9, you get to 45. So we could have a maximum of 45 caged cells in this grid. But we've got 36. I'm just having to confirm that again because I've been talking numbers a lot since I counted. But I think we had 36. 4, 9, 10, 11, 13... 17, 18, 22, 27, 30, 32, 36. We've got 36, which means we are missing 9 cells, which means that we are missing basically digits that sum up to 9. So we are either missing a 1 and 8 8s, we are missing a 2 2s and 7 7s. We are missing 3 3s and 6 6s. We are missing 4 4s and 5 5s. Or we're missing 9 9s. But that cell is interesting to me. I'm sure there's logic I could do around that. Because if we were missing, there's only one digit in there. So if we were missing, how is this going to work? Yeah, we must have 9s in the cages. Because if we didn't have 9s in the cages... Actually, am I sure about that? Hang on, we can't have 9s in the cages. Because if we can't have 9s in the cages. Because if we had 9s in the cages, we'd need to put a 9 in every single cage. But how do I put a 9 in a 13 cage? I can't do it. So we have got every digit in the cages except 9s. Because if I put 9 in a 13 cage, the other 3 digits would have to sum up to 4, and I can't do that. I don't think I could put 8 in a 13 cage either, because if I put 8 in a 13... So I now know the digits I'm missing are 9 9s. So I've got 8 8s, 7 7s, 6 6s, 5 5s. I'm missing 9 9s. So this can't be a 9. Now, I can't put an 8 in a 13 cage, because if I put an 8 in a 13 cage, the other 3 cells would have to sum up to 5. But the minimum digits I could use is 1, 2, and 3, which sums up to 6. 8 plus 6 is 14. So there's no 8 in the 13 cage, but I need to put the 8 somewhere. So there's an 8 in every single cage, except for the 13 cage. So this is an 8. Now, does that... But now I could put 7s in all of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I don't need to put a 7 in the 13 cage. But there is no 8 in the 13 cage. But I've only got 1 1 to play with. Do I need to have a 1 in the 13 cage? Yeah, I do. Because if I don't have a 1 in the 13 cage, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is 14. So there is a 1 in here. So I've got no more 1s in cages, which I probably could have done by looking at the totals. I don't... 25 could have a 1 yet. 1, 7, 8, 9 would get me there. I could have had a 1 in a 23 cage quite easily. Actually, this 23 cage can't have a 1 in it anymore, and that could be important, because 23 in 5... If I... 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... 4 and 6 is 10. So 2, 3, and 5 is 20. So I'm close to the end anyway. But hang on. 1, 2... I can't put an 8 in here. But there is an 8 in this cage. Because I have to have an 8 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There is an 8 in this cage with no 1. And there's no 9 in any of these cages. So if I put an 8 in this cage, the smallest I could put in with the 8, and I'm sure I'm doing this slowly because I'm terrible at math, the smallest I could put in with the 8 is 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. Well, 2 and 8 is 10. 3, 4, 5 is 12. So it has to be 2, 3, 4... So let's look at that. I'm going to put these in. I know these pencil marks are wrong. 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 is the minimum. So, and 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. 2 and 8 is 10. 3, 4, 5 is 12. I need to increase by 1 without repeating digits. Now, I can't increase the 8 because I can't put a 9 in any of the cages. Because if I put a 9 in the 13 cage, I can't do it. And if I put a 9 in a cage, I've got to put a 9 in all the cages. So there's no 9 in cages. I have to increase one of these digits by 1. But if I increase the 2 by 1, I end up with 2 3s. If I increase the 3 by 1, I end up with 2 4s. If I increase the 4 by 1, I end up with 2 5s. So I have to increase the 5 by 1, and this is 2, 3, 4, 6, 8. And that's the makeup of this cage. So now I've got the... So do I need a 2 in this 13 cage? I don't think I do. But there's no 7 in this cage. So now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cages that can have a 7. So this has to be 1, 2, 3, 7, because I need to put a 7 in every cage now. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cages must take 7s, because the only thing that's missing is 9 9s. So this is 1, 2, 3, 7, and now I've got my 2 2s. I've got my 1 1 and my 2 2s. So now I want to look at this, because it must have a 7 and an 8 in it, which means 15. The other digits must sum to 8. Now, I can't use 1 7. I can't use 2 6. It has to be 3 5, because 4 4 doesn't work. So this is 3 5 7 8. And now I've got my 3 3s. So I want to look at the next lowest cage, which still must have 7 and 8. I've got my 3 3s. So I can't use 1, I've used it. I can't use 2s, I've used them both. I can't use 3s, I've used them all. So the next lowest digit I can use is 4, and I need 10. So this is 4 6 7 8. And now I've used all my... I've used 1, I've only used 2 4s, but I still have to use a 7 and an 8 in every cage. So there's a 7 and an 8 in here, and there's a 7 and an 8 in here. But how many cages do I have without 6s? I've got 1, 2, 3 cages without 6s. So there's a 6 in each of these. 6, 7, 8 is 21. So this is 5, 6, 7, 8. And this is 5, 6, 7, 8. Because it's the only way that works. Because 5, 6, 7, 8 is 26. And I can't use... Well, I do have 4s left over. But there's no... How did I get to that? It's the needing to put those number of digits in. I had to do 7, 8, and then I had to get to the totals. So they had to be 5, 6, 7, 8. It was the only way to do it. Now I've used 1, 1. I'm actually going to... I need to make a note somewhere. So I've used my 1, 1. So 1 is done. I wish I had a place in the grid where I could take those notes. So I've used my 1, 1. I've used my 2 2s. I've used my 3 3s. Of my 4s, I've used 2. So I've used 2 4s. Of my 5s, I've used 1, 2, 3. So I've used 3 5s. Of my 6s, I've used 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've used 4 6s. Of my 7s, I've used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've used 5 7s. And of my 9s, I used 0. So I've used all of my 1s. So 1 is done. 2 is done. 3 is done. I need to use 2 more 4s, 2 more 5s, 2 more 6s, and 2 more 7s. So these... And I need to use 2 more 8s. So this should be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this should be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I should have been able to do that by math, but I was curious to use the constraint. If I add those together, yeah, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sums to 30, because 7 and 8 is 15 and 4, 5, 6 is 15. So that all works. So that gets me to my total. So they're the makeup of the cages. Now, this is a black dot, so it can't contain 5 and 7. So why do I say that? A black dot is digits in a 1 to 2 relationship. A black dot must contain a low digit on one side and an even on the other. Now, they may exist in both states. 1 doubles to 2, they're both low, but the low digit on the left doubles to an even. 2 to 4, 3 to 6, 4 to 8, and then 5 to 10 doesn't work. So anything that is high or odd cannot go onto a black dot. But it's always important to remember that one side side must be low and one side must be even. So if you're ever playing with parity or high-low, if you see a black dot, you know it must contain an even and a low. So this can't be an 8 because that can't be a 4 because the 4 in the box is here. 6 could go with 3. 4 can't go with 8, but 4 could go with 2. So this is a 2 or a 3. It can't go with 8 because the 8 in the box is taken up. Now, on this, I cannot put 1, 2. I cannot put 2, 4. I cannot put 3, 6. This is 4, 8 because 1, 2 would not allow 1, 2 in the box. 3, 6, 2, 4 would not allow 2 in the cage, sorry. 3, 6 would not allow it in the cage. So this is 4, 8, which takes 4, 8 out of both of those, which takes 6, 7 out of both of those. The 4, 8 takes 8 out of there, takes 8 out of those, which puts 8 into both of those, which takes out 8 out of all of those, which puts 8 into those, which takes 8 out of there, which means 8 is in one of those three, which means that's the 4 and that's the 8. Interesting. Which means that's the 4 and that's the 8. Right, that 8 would have resolved that at the beginning. I just didn't see it. The 6, 7 here takes 7 out of there. I feel like I've over pencil marked, but I don't see what else I could have done. Now, this is a 5, 6, 7, 8 quadruple. So this is a 4, this is the 6, this is the 3. I take 4 and 6 out of those. This is a 5, 7, 8, which means this is a 6, which means I take 6 out of all of those. This is just going to flow now, isn't it? There must be, in this 5, 6, 7, 8, the 6 must be over here. There's no 6 here. I could have used that 6 for that, but I didn't. There's no 9 on that, but I don't think that's where I'm looking yet. This is a 3, 5, 6, 7 quadruple in the column, so the 3 must be down here. There's no 3 here. Now on this, I can't use, right, this is also known because I can use 1, 2, I can't use 2, 4, I can't use 3, 6, and I can't use 4, 8. So this is 1, 2, which takes 1 and 2 out of there. Do I know this one? Well, it's not 5 or 7. If it can't be 8 because this would have to be 4 and the 4 is in the cage. If it's 6, this is 3, which seems possible. If it's 4, it could be 2, but it can't be 8 for many reasons. It's just looking for the pointing stuff now, isn't it? So this is a triple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 3, 5, 9. Now, that matters for this cell. Oh, that's gorgeous. So these are 3, 5, and 9. These are all odd, so this has to be even. But it can't be 4, 8, and it can't be 6. So this is 2, this is 3, and there's no 3 here. The 3 and the 2 look over, making that the 1, taking the 1 out of those. There must be a 2 in those. The 1 actually doesn't do as much as I might have thought. But now, yeah, 2 is in here. 1 is in one of those two by Sudoku. There's no 8 there, by the way. That's been there for a while. The 4 and the 6 and the 8 look down, taking 4, 6, and 8 out of those. This is a 5, 7 pair. Where is 1 in this column now? I can't put 1 in any of those. I can't put 1 in any of those because of the pointing ones and the 8 in the middle. I can't put 1 in any of those. That's the 1. This is actually a quadruple, and I could have marked that. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 9. And that works for this white dot because this has to be consecutive with 5, 7, or 8, and 2 or 3 is not consecutive with any of them. So that's the 9, that's the 8, and I can take the 8 out of there. There's no 9 there anymore. The 1, actually I had that, but the 9, no. Tempted by these digits, actually, but I'm going to look at this triple first, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, and 9 again. That's not a 9. 9 is in one of those two. But if that was a 9, that would have to be an 8, and it can't be, because the 8 is there in the cage. So that's not the 9, that's the 9. The 1, 2 here. So this, if this is 1, this is 2. If it's 2, it's 1 or 3. And all of that's, oh, hang on, but the 1, 2 pair means that this has to be the 3. I should have seen that faster. This is 3, 2, and 1. So I know these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is a 9, which looks down, making that the 5 and that the 9. Nine is in one of those two. Except 9 can't be there. Where is 9 in this column? I can't put 9 in any of the cages. So 9 had to be in one of those two, and now it can't be there because of that 9. That's where I should have done. I should have been chasing 9s, because 9s can't go in cages. I probably could have done some logic around the shape of that, but I didn't. Because 9 is in one of those two now. Sorry. I have something stuck in my... So this is now a triple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So these are 1, 2, and 4. There's no 1 there. So what are... This is also 1, 2, or 4, I think, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, this is also 1, 2, or 4, and it can't be 4. So this is a 1 or a 2. Actually, this is a triple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 9 go into those. And that can't be a 9. So there's a 1, 2 pair here. This is the 9. But more importantly, if this was a 1, this would be a 2, and that would be broken. So that's the 2, that's the 3, that's the 1. The 2 looks over saying that's not the 2, but the 1 comes out of there. This is the 1. 1, 2, 3. This is the 4. 1 is now in one of those two. Okay. Where is 5 in this column? I can't put 5 in this cage. There's no 5 in there, and there's no 5 in those two. That's the 5 in the column. So that's the 7, 8 pair, taking 7 out of there. 5 takes 5 out of those. 5 is in those two, but oh, and that 5 looks up. There's no 5 there. That's the 5. The 8 looks up, making that the 7, which makes that 6 and that 8. The 8 looks across, making that 7 and that 8. There we go. There's some progress. This is a triple in this column. 1, 2. I've got 3, 4, 5, 6, and I've got 7, 8, 9. So 6 is in one of those two. But this is a quadruple. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So these are 1, 2, and 4, and must contain 4. Oh, so this 5 looks down, making that 7, which takes 7 out of both of those. That's a 3, 5 pair. And the 7 looks up, making that 6 and that 7. These are now a pair. I need to put a 9 in here, and I can't put 9 there. So that's the 9, and this is no longer a pair, it's a single. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's a 5, taking 5 out of there. It also takes 5 out of there. Okay. Oh, this 2 looks down. This becomes the 3, this becomes the 2. The 3 looks over, making this 5 and this 3. Yes, I saw the black dot. I'm coming back to it. The 3 comes out of all of those. This is 2, 4, 6. So I can take 2, 4, and 6 out of those. That becomes a 3, 8 pair, which looks up, making that the 7. The 7 comes out of there. This becomes a 2, 3 pair. The 3, 8 looks... Actually, that doesn't... Actually, there's something going on here. What have I missed out? Oh, the 3, 8 looks up, making that the 2 and that the 3. The 2 looks up, making that the 4 and that the 2. The 4 and the 2 look down, making that the 6, and there's no 6 in those. This 2 looks down, making that the 4 and that the 2. I haven't forgotten the black dot. There's just other stuff going on. In fact, I'll do it now. The 2 isn't in a 1 to 2 relationship with 6, so that becomes the 4, and the 4 comes out of all of those. Now there's a 5, 7 pair. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is a 3. Let's look at this triple. 1, which I know is in one of those two. 2, 3, 4. I need to put a 5 in, which is in one of them. 6, 7, 8, 1, 5, 9. Well, there's no 9 there. Actually, I'm not sure. This triple, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 9. 5, 6, 9. Well, we know 6 is in one of those two. There's no 9 there. Oh, there's no 5 there. That's the 6. So this is a 5, 9 pair, which means I know what this is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is 4 and 6. And the 4 here makes that the 6 and that the 4. This is now 1 and 7. And the 1 here makes that the 7 and that the 1. 7 comes out of those. 6 comes out of there. That's a 7, 8 pair, 5, 7 pair. The 7 comes out of there. Scanning fail on my part, I'm assuming. The 4 comes out of there. So that's a 4. This triple is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 9. 5, 7, 9. There's no 9 there. So this is a 5, 7 pair. So that becomes the 8. I can take 8 out of both of those. The 5, 6 looks up, making that the 8, which makes that the 7 and that the 5, which looks down, making that the 7, which looks across, making that the 5, making that the 9 and that the 5, which looks down, making that the 7. The 5 looks across, making that the 6 and that the 5. There's no 6 there, so that's the 6. The 5 makes that the 1, so that's not 1 or 5, that's 9. The 1 looks back over to here, making that the 2, which makes that 1 and that 2, which makes that 1. And the 8 looks across, making that 3 and that 8. And that is the solution to the puzzle. And I did get it correct. So breaking into those cages was about figuring out how many digits there were in cages, understanding using the sum of the digits 1 to 9, because you could only use 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3s, figuring out that the sum of the digits within the cages, or that weren't in the cages, had to sum to 9 because we only had 36 cells in cages, and then realizing what couldn't be in a 13 cage. And because we couldn't put a 9 into a 13 cage, we could never put a 9 into any cage because there are only 9 cages, 1 per box. And once we couldn't put a 9 into any cage, we then needed to put 8 8s in cages, and we couldn't put an 8 into a 13 cage, so every single other cage needed an 8, and that put an 8 here, and then we needed to put 7 7s, and it was just iterating down from the high values. Very, very cool. And then once we figured out the makeup of the cages, and I literally just had all of the pencil marks in the cages, it was using the Kropki dots and the Sudokus to resolve it. Very, very cool using the constraint, which, as I said, all of the puzzles I've seen using this previously have just been using circles. Very cool using this with Killer. Hope you enjoyed the puzzle. I did. It's the first puzzle like this I've solved. I've kind of skipped all of the circle puzzles, but I've seen it done. So that was very, very cool. Thank you everyone for watching. And as always, good luck with your solving.